And then the Rebbe assumed leadership on you later.
Also, it's not.
It's the previous Rebbe's outside, correct?
Friedrich?
Friedrich, yeah.
How many years?
It was 1950.
Yeah.
68.
50.
68. 45.
Oh, yeah, 16 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. We're learning Siman 309. We're learning about a basis Sadavar Ha'asr and how to move a something that is not a basis Sadavar Ha'asr. The issue at hand is, first of all, if it is a basis Sadavar Ha'asr, we said there's no way to move it, except for the fact that there's certain ways to move total Muktzah, or whatever. But it's treated as total Muktzah. If, however, it's not a basis Sadavar Ha'asr, either because the thing was not on it when Shabbos began, it was put on at the middle of Shabbos, or because it was left on there by accident, or because there was something else on it that was equal or greater value. So then there's no issue with moving the bottom item per se, but we do try to not move the muktzah as much as possible. Because like we said yesterday, when you move the bottom item and the top item together with it, that's not considered kalachayat, because you are moving it in the usual way. On the other hand, it's not a direct movement, so therefore there is room for leniency in cases of need. So in case of need, and the case of need always has to be a permissible, not a forbidden. In other words, you can never move it for the muktzah itself. You can't move it if you need the muktzah somewhere else, to protect the muktzah and so on. But if you need the item somewhere else, if you need the item somewhere else that's underneath, or the other items in the, on top of that item together with the muktzah somewhere else, so then we would like you to tip it over and get rid of the muktzah item. If it's not practical, then you don't have it. So for example, we said yesterday, if it's in a basket with a bunch of fruit that are plump and moist and they can get ruined if you tip them out, then you can just pick up the whole thing and move it elsewhere. On the other hand, if it's things that are not going to get ruined, you tip it out, get rid of the stone or whatever muktzah item, put them all back and take them elsewhere. If you need the place, then you can pick it up and move it elsewhere, because tipping it out is not going to help in terms of needing the place. So pretty much that's where we were. Wow, this is like an old computer before the screens actually move things. Okay, where are we? Valid? Does that sound right? Who remembers? Out the Rebbe, yeah.
We finished Dalit. We're going to start Hay.
One more time, sorry?
We finished Dalit yesterday.
We finished Dalit, so up to Hay and Out the Rebbe. Kate said, how so? Kalkola Malaya Pairs. Hey, I don't remember. I'm just kidding. How do we apply the rule that we try to get rid of the muktzah if possible, but if it's not practical, we don't have to. That's the rule. Kate said, how so? Kalkola Malaya Pairs. A basket that has fruit in it with a stone inside. Even though you left it there from beforehand with the intention that it stay there for Shabbos. Because there are fruits in that basket, which are obviously more important than the stone, goes without saying. It has become a basis for both Isser and Heter. And the basket per se is not a basis for Isser and Heter. It's not a basis for Isser, and therefore it's not Muktzah. If they are moist and soft fruit, you're going to Adam, for example, figs and grapes. If you tip them out, they're going to get dirty on the ground and get ruined. You have to remember, in those days, most houses were dirt floors. So It's going to get dirty. I mean, you could clean it, but for now, it's going to get dirty. I'm not saying nowadays it wouldn't apply, but depends on the situation. What do little hakakolaka mashima pairs? You're allowed to take the basket as is to get out the fruit, and the stone that's in it, and bring it to the place that you need the fruit to eat. You don't obligate him to take the fruit by hand and carry it. This is an interesting swap. Because while you're schlepping the peiros outside of a basket, they might fall too and get dirty.
So why do you even have to bring this case? Because I thought why do you have to talk about the wet case? Because if they're dry, then there's no problem. So you would think the wet case is no problem too.
No problem for what?
Well, in other words, if there's a stone in the basket with dry fruit,
yep,
you can carry the basket.
So you can't.
Oh, you cannot?
Absolutely not. That's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Coming up. At the end of the sif, coming up. If there are small baskets within the big basket that the fruit are in, then take them in your hand, one at a time, and bring them to be in a way that will go for where you have to spill the stone out, even if the fruits are moist. Here, the fruits are moist in little baskets that are in a big basket. And you don't need the fruit, you don't need the fruits elsewhere at all. You need the basket elsewhere. So take the fruits out, put them wherever, because they have their own little baskets that they're in. Tip out the stone and take the basket where it needs to be. You hear yesterday? So we're learning about a muktzah item that is placed in another item in a way that it does not create a basis. It was not placed there on purpose. There's a lot of details. It wasn't placed in a way that it makes the bottom item muktzah, and you need to move it to somewhere else. So if possible, you tip out the muktzah item before moving it. If not possible, you could take it all together. That's the short version of what we're saying. 3095, we're in the middle of 3095. Yes. Exactly, which makes it mutter. The rule is a basis. Yeah, because basis means, the translation of basis means that it's a base. It is a base, physically it's a base. But it doesn't have the halachic status of a basis for a forbidden item. The word muktzah, by the way, doesn't mean forbidden. Muktzah means set aside. So there are muktzahs that are permissible. Like we said, if a person sets aside something for sale, for merchandise, we pass him like Reb Shimon, who says that's not forbidden. So it's technically muktzah. It's been set aside, but it's not a forbidden muktzah. You see what I'm saying? So these words, we use them in terms of permissibility and forbiddenness, but technically they have other meanings. See what I'm saying? Exactly. Basis hadavar asur is when it's forbidden, because it's a base for a forbidden item. I'm referring to the halachic status of it, not to the physical status. Basis hadavar asur means it's a base for a forbidden item. So then it has the status of a muktzah. If it's a basis for something not forbidden, or for both, that's no problem. Yes. Yes. I hear you. I hear you. But I'm giving you another example of something confusing. In case you're not confused enough. It can be called muktzah, and it's not muktzah, what we call muktzah. We use the expression muktzah to mean forbidden to carry, right? Forbidden to move. The word muktzah technically means something set aside. So there are things that are set aside, but we still hold you allowed to carry them because we are lenient with Muktzah. We define it very narrowly, right? So according to Rabbi Yehuda and the Gemara, if you set aside something to sell as merchandise, you can't move it. That's what we said. If you say, you sell things in a store, you can't change your mind on Shabbos and decide to use it. We pass it like a Shimon that you could change it. So even though it's been set aside, but it's not forbidden. You see what I'm saying? So you say the same word, we use it to mean forbidden set aside, but originally it just means set aside. So we borrowed it and use it in a certain way. I'm just comparing, that's all. Anyway, we said that already. The pay reservation, Daniel, here's the answer to your question. The in-name pay reservation, if they are dried fruits, they don't get spoiled when they get dirty. Even though they're not in baskets. Then you don't pick them up as is with the fruit and the stone. What do you need the basket of the fruits elsewhere? Spill them out together with the stone. And then gather them with your hands. Put them back into the basket. And here's if you want. But if you need the area of the basket or at the end of hay in in such a way that shaking it will not help, then you'll have to take it away from here in any case. Okay, so that basically covers the discussion on the basket. And now we move to the next discussion that we had in the Chaber already, which is a stone or money on a pillow or on a bed. And honestly, I'm not really sure what is added in this sif over the previous. The principles are going to remain the same. That when something Muktzah is on top of something else, and it's not a basis, and you need to move the bottom thing, if possible, shake off the Muktzah. If not possible, you don't have to. That's the principle. But it's a new case, and perhaps there'll be some details that are different, and we'll learn from that. Let's see. So too, if a person put a stone on a barrel of wine, lekisui as a cover. He forgot to take it from there. Koydem Shabbos before the Shabbos. So he put it there on purpose, but it's still not a basis because when he put it down, he was planning to remove it, and then he forgot. Does not have the was. That's a chiddush, by the way. You just heard a chiddush. Because what does it mean that something is not placed purposefully there? Maybe you could say it means it was put there by accident. You didn't know it was there. Somebody else put it there. It fell, it raised. No. Here we see, even if something was put there purposefully, but if you intended to take it off and you forgot, that does not create a basis. Another example. You put money on a pillow and you forgot to remove it before Shabbos. Lito. Your arm can only see my eyes. Why is that? I see my whole face. I don't know what that is. Okay. Lito, and he has to take Yaim and Achalis, wine from the barrel, or Lishkav car, or sleep on the pillow. Even Shachalis Akalan has also because the barrel and the pillow have not become a basis. So what he can do is he can tip the barrel on the side, and the stone will fall off. And he can shake off the pillow, and the money falls away. So that's no problem. The movement to get it off is for sure no problem. That we've already said before. As long as it wasn't placed there purposefully. Or even if it was, but if you meant to take it off and you forgot. Not so sure. That sounds like a problem. If you put it there on purpose, you never intended to take it off, I don't think you can, even though you didn't specifically intend to leave it on, if you put it there on purpose, and you didn't think to take it off, I think that's a bustle. It seems to me. You didn't forget. You just never thought about it. But you put it there. When you put it there, it was on purpose. So right now it has the status of a bustle. It's not Shabbos, but it's a bustle. It's a base. And you never forgot to take it off because you never thought about taking it off. So it continues to be a bustle. That's what it seemed to me. I think the Dirshu discusses it in a little bit more detail. I'll look at it soon, but I'm pretty sure. Pockets are totally different. Pockets are different. There's a big difference between kapota pockets and jacket pockets, pant pockets. Kapota jacket and pants are all the same, and shirts are different. Shirts are very problematic, and all the other pockets are very lenient. It's shaken out. You can take it. Shake it out. But the whole kapota is not a bosses. The whole pants and the whole jacket not, but the shirt is. Shirt is. What's the difference? Physical difference. The pocket of the shirt is part of the shirt. The pocket of all the other things is a separate little, pouch. Think about it. The pocket is a little pouch that was sewn into your jacket. No, the back side of it is the shirt. The back side is your shirt. No, that's not true. Feel it. It's a separate thing. It's a separate thing. You'll feel it. We're going to learn about it in the next Siman. It's on top of it. It's a separate. It's considered a separate item that's sewn in the one item, so it doesn't affect the whole thing. Exactly. So that pocket will be a problem. Any pocket that is not a separate thing. Yeah. I don't mean the jacket. I mean the type of pocket. This pocket will be a problem. Pants, yeah, they're separate. Even the back pocket, except for jeans. In jeans, the back pocket is usually just part of it. But in other pants or the front pocket of jeans also, I think, I don't really own a pair of jeans, but maybe the front pocket is sometimes part of it. Maybe it's part of it. I don't know. We're going to see. Next Siman coming up. No, the shirt is problematic. The other ones you can shake it out. Sometimes you don't even have to shake it out. Depends. Let's see. If you're wearing it, I don't think you have to take it off because it's like something in your hand already. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you're not moving it directly. You're moving your body. But if you're not wearing it, I don't think you can. Even if you shake it out, you can't put it on. If it's the only thing, or it's worth more than the other things. Saying if you have a few things and some are not Muktzah and they're worth more than the Muktzah, not a problem. Okay, so if that's all you have, then the shirt is Muktzah. If you have money, no, if it's already on you, no. If it's not on though, you can't put it on. Okay. If it was a barrel amongst barrels, in such a way that you cannot tip it over in its place. I'm halfway through Vav, yeah. If the barrel was a chavis ben chavis, was a barrel amongst the barrels, in such a way that you're not able to tip it over in its place. Right, because either like he says in the note, there's no space to do it, or because the falling stone could break the other barrels. you can lift it up together with the stone that's on it, with the noise of the Mokamacher, and bring it somewhere else. Keep it over there, in order to tip off the stone. If you need the place, the ancient Nimbus must be in such a way that shaking it does not help. Then you could carry it together with the stone that's on them in order to make room. So it's more or less the same concept. We had the same concept before. When you need the place, you can move it away. Actually, no, I don't think we mentioned if you need the place before. We mentioned if you need the basket somewhere else. I don't think we mentioned if you need the place. I think this is what we're learning it. And also, if it's going to break something, we didn't have that exact case. We had the fruit's going to get ruined. Here, there are other barrels are going to break. More or less same concept.
If the cover, if we have something that he doesn't want the cover with force into the slot. Or the stone itself is the whole cover for the door.
It sounds like the stone is the cover, but it's not designated as a cover. If designated, it wouldn't be Muktzah at all. That's what it sounds like. I don't know for sure what it sounds. Okay, the main itself, there's a new case. We never had this yet, my friends. It's a chiddush. Previous case was about a stone, and you never need to protect the stone. It's just a stone. Here we're talking about stone or money. Now, what if you don't need the pillow, but you're afraid that the money is going to get stolen, so you want to move the money somewhere else, or at least shake it off so it should fall behind the bed. You're not even allowed to shake it so that the money will fall off and go underneath. They did not permit moving do something else. Listen very carefully. Unless you're moving it for the permissible item. But also not for the forbidden item. We're going to see later. Very important principle, my friends. If you're moving it for the forbidden item, then it's considered that you're moving the forbidden item, and the thing that's helping you move it is considered an extension of your hand. If that's your intention to move it, so even if you move it with something else, it's considered an intention of your hand, an extension of your hand. Just like a broom or a fork or something else. Your intention is to move the thing that you're moving, consider like you're moving it yourself. If it's not your intention, you need space, you need the item that's underneath, you need the other items on that. Okay, that's something else. Then it's considered being moved secondarily. It's still like a lachayad, but it's a secondary type of movement. You're not moving it for itself, it's being moved together with something else that happens to be on. That's when there's room for lenience. But if that's your intention to move that thing, then it's considered like you're moving it directly, because that's your intention. So the thing that's underneath it is just helping you move it. Now, this is different than a case. One second, I'll just explain one thing. This is different than a case we discussed yesterday. If you want to move a table that has a candlestick on it, and the candlestick is, the table's not Muktzah because it was challah there, whatever. And really, you should have to tip off the candlestick, tip it off. But we said if it's an expensive candlestick, it's going to get damaged. You don't have to tip it off. So in that case, you're allowed to move the table with the candlestick. And the reason you're not tipping it off is to protect the candlestick. That's different than this case then. Because your main thing is that you need the table somewhere else. You don't need the candlestick somewhere else. You need the table somewhere else. But if I knock off the candlestick, it's going to get ruined. So then you could take it together. So your objective is not the candlestick. Your objective is having the table somewhere else. Don't have to knock off the candlestick because it's getting ruined. Okay, fine. It's not the same as over here where you actually want to protect the money, and therefore you can't do it.
So if you have exactly a leak on top of where they kind of sit on the table, you don't want to get more than the regular. You're not allowed to move all the table. Right?
Not for the candlestick. You can move for the table. If you don't want the table to get ruined, but not for the candlestick. Question.
Yeah, so you were saying for the headers and its header, not saying blessing. So the monk was said for a place that's talking, and also move the barrel.
Without tilting, without knocking it over, yeah. Right. Knocking it over is not going to get what you need. You know what I'm saying? It's still going to be, the space is not going to be available. Okay, all of this is if you forgot it there there's another chiddush we didn't have about the basket. But the basket, it's not going to be a buses anyway, because a stone is always less important than fruit. Here we're talking about money or a stone and there's nothing else on it. Up there it says, it's only if you forgot it there. But if you put it there on purpose, Dashi Shoshim Gam Shabbos with the intention that it should stay there also on Shabbos. Wait, this sounds like you may have a heter here. Shamata? That's a huge chiddush. It's not just that you put it there on purpose. You put it there on purpose with the intention that it should stay there on Shabbos. It sounds like if you took out your wallet on Friday morning and you put it down on a book, you didn't think that it should stay there on Shabbos. You didn't think that it shouldn't, in your case. You didn't think that it should. Why would you want it to stay on the book on Shabbos? You didn't think, you just put it down. Sounds like it's not a bus. It has to be that you put it there with the intention that it should stay there on Shabbos. Let me finish the sif, then I'll look it up in the Dirshim, because I know he brings down. In the case where you did put it on purpose, that it, with the intention that it stay there, it should stay there for Shabbos. Whether you need to place in the barrel or the basket, why do you need the barrel? Because you need to take the wine from it, and you need to sleep on the pillow. You cannot even shake them or tip them over. Why not? Because it became a basis for the forbidden item, it has become as forbidden as the item itself. And you can't do it at all. If you're about to have any life, even by tipping or shaking, just like the forbidden item itself, you can't tip over or shake a Muktzah item. So the basis, which is like it, you also can't. Kalacha, yeah, I guess. Kalacha, you have no problem. Oh, now we have another question that we discussed yesterday in the Machaber. What if you wanted it to be there for Shabbos, but you didn't want it to be there for the whole Shabbos? Here we have it. Even if in your mind you didn't want it to stay there the whole Shabbos, only the beginning of Shabbos, meaning to say that you intended that it should only stay there until after Benish Moshe, shows it's Shem B'Shem Day near, and then you're planning to tip it over, right? What you're allowed to do is not a buses. I mean, now it's when we're deciding if it's a buses or not, but you're planning to tip it over. In other words, you want to make it not a buses by the fact that you tip it over. So retroactively, it's not a buses because I never wanted it to be there the Shabbos. He doesn't discuss Kalachayah, but whatever, same thing. It doesn't help at all to permit even the near which you actually intended. Why? Because it became a basis for the Beinash Moshes, which is the beginning of the entry of Shabbos. It has become Muktzah for the entire Shabbos, and his intention does not help to make it Muktzah. Exactly. Exactly. It's the concept of Migudis Katsoy the Ben Hashmashas. Muktzah l'chol Shabbos. When something is set aside by Ben Hashmashas, it becomes set aside for the entire Shabbos. We're going to have more of that in the next section. For example, when Shabbos came in, the Gregors with Zimukim, the dates and the grapes that you wanted to dry were drying on the leaf. And when they dry, they're not edible. And then on Shabbos, they will come out of them. You go up and you realize they're dry, but they weren't dry before Shabbos. Now you realize they're dry, they're edible. Muktzah. When Bein Hashmashas came in, it was Muktzah. You set it aside. Muktzah l'chol Shabbos kula. It's been set aside for the entire Shabbos. I mean, that's different than this, you realize, because over there, you didn't know when it would be ready. Here, you specifically are thinking, I want to tip this over. So you can see there's a difference. But, according to this opinion, halachically it's the same. Even though you wanted to make it not Muktzah on Shabbos, but the fact is when Shabbos came in, it was Muktzah, you wanted it to be a basis at that time. So it becomes a basis the whole Shabbos. Like it. That's the first opinion. No, you can't. No, you can eat fresh and you can eat dry. In between fresh and dry, it's called fry. I just made that up. In between fresh and dry, you can't eat them. They're not edible. Well, the way they used to do it, maybe it was different quantities, maybe it was different heat, maybe it was different chemicals they used. I don't know what they used. Yes. So it actually says clearly in the next segment that most fruits are like that. Most fruits are like that. You can eat them fresh, you can eat them dry, you can eat them in between. And those fruits, even if you decide to dry them, they're never muktzah. Because we paskin like Reb Shimon, and Reb Shimon says just because you put something aside doesn't mean it's muktzah. So you put it aside to dry. I changed my mind, I don't want to dry. No problem. But these two fruits, these two, dates and grapes, don't ask me why, they're different. They're not good to eat when they're in between. I don't know what methods they use. They're not good to eat when they're in between. And therefore it's different. Because by putting it to dry, you're basically saying, I'm not eating these for now. Until they're ready, I'm not eating them. Can't eat them. So that's a special thing for those two. We could do an experiment, a class trip to the roof, put them up to dry, see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, or maybe they put some other ingredients to help it dry. I honestly don't know. That I didn't see. Yeah. Yeah. Took it off or the way he moved the whole thing, all the details. Okay, we continue and say it's very quiet in computer land. Hope everything's clear. Yes, Shimon, here comes number 2. Some say, second opinion. We're still in Zion. The end of Zion. I don't know. Second opinion in the Mechamer. Yes, Shimon, Pei Gimel, Rabbeinu Tam. Says Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam says, Shalei Nasa Bosses Leiser. Elam Kenayi Badaiti Shu Shor Shama Efem Amois Kol Shabbos. It's only a bosses if you intended that it should stay there for the entire Shabbos. Avolim Hoya. If your intention was to take them in the middle of Shabbos. whether by a goy or by shaking, because a goy is allowed to move muktzah for you, we've said in the past. Lo nasu klal achalis makar osas. Excuse me, the barrel and the pillow do not become a bus for them at all. Even in the beginning of Shabbos. Then he'd say, your intention is Shabbos morning, I'm going to shake it off. But once you have that intention, it's not even a bus, it's in the beginning of Shabbos. If you change your mind and you want to shake it off in the beginning of Shabbos, you can. Because the fact is you didn't intend for it to stay the whole Shabbos, it does not have a status of a bus. There's no such thing that's a buses for the beginning of Shabbos and not the end of Shabbos. It's either a buses or not. According to Baritam, if you don't intend for it to stay the whole Shabbos, it's not a buses. Once it's not a buses, you can tip it off anytime. Allah, the second opinion of Baritam. Alder was going to say in a moment. It's not forbidden at all to move. It's not Muktzah in the entire Shabbos. Therefore, if he intended, change his mind, sorry, even in the beginning of Shabbos, and he wants to tip the barrel or the pillow, if he needs them, or if he wants to move them out of the way together with the stuff on them, it's permissible just as in a case where it's forgotten. If he had no intention to remove the stone or the money from the car or the pillow, by shaking it with the goy, your intention was to move it on Shabbos, whether through a goy or through a Jew when you'll need the place. In the makom, intending to move it is not going to help because as long as you intended the item to remain on top of the whole Shabbos, it is a bus. So you're intending to move it. Thank you very much. You want to move Muktzah? That doesn't help you to be able to move Muktzah. Thinking that you should be allowed to move Muktzah doesn't make it mutter to move Muktzah. The way for it not to be Muktzah is to think that you're going to remove it completely from the bottom. Then it's not going to be a bus according to the main halacha is like the first opinion. We call makam nevertheless. The makam hefsei in a situation of loss. You can rely on the second opinion.
Not actually the goal.
No, that's not the word. That's not the word. That's not the main thing. The main thing is, did you intend to remove it or to move it with it on it? If you intended to remove it for whatever reason, whether because you know you're going to need a makam or whatever, as long as you intended to remove it. Yeah, but that's because you're not planning to remove it. That's the main thing. Your intention was, I know that on Shabbos I'm going to need this space. So I'm having in mind before Shabbos that on Shabbos I'm going to move the table with the candle on it somewhere else. Thank you very much. One second. But at the same time, you were not planning to remove it from the table. So therefore, the table in your mind was going to be a basis to Shabbos. So it's Muktzah. If on the other hand, you knew that you were going to have to move the table, so you thought, I'm going to tip it over on Shabbos. So then it's not going to be a basis, even though the reason you're tipping it over is they need a place. Okay, the fact is, yeah, it makes no difference as long as you didn't intend for it to be. Absolutely. Yes, Yossi, go ahead. Sorry.
So my question is, so there's three things that would define a buses. I mean, it's also intention.
According to the time, it's 4. Yeah, we started at 3. According to the time, it's 4. We said before 3 that you put it there on purpose, and that
the expensive
there when Shabbos came in, and it's the most expensive or important thing on it. And now
so
we're
added one, but according to the Rabbeinu Tam.
According to the time, that you intended to leave it there the whole Shabbos. That's correct.
You don't know what they're this is something don't know what the amount is.
Let's see what Rabbi Dirshu has to say for himself. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. You can put that in. Here's a few of the details. Actually, I'm not sure. Let me get back to that. Let me just discuss what it says here. If you remember on Friday that it was there and you didn't remove it, but listen to it says that that's like you put it on purpose. If when you put it there, you want it to stay there, but then you change your mind. And you decided to remove it, and then you forgot. And the Rambam says that's like a person who forgot. Yeah? When you put it down, you meant to keep it. Then you change your mind. You decide you're going to take it off. Then you forgot. That's like a person who forgot, because the bottom line is you didn't want that. Here's an interesting one. Shiva. You put it on. You wanted it to stay there. But you also wanted to put something else on it so it shouldn't be Muktzah. You lit the Shabbos candles. Of course you wanted them to stay there. That's where it belongs. But you wanted to put the challah on it. Forgot. I didn't put the challah. Basis or not? I didn't forget the challah, the Shabbos candles. I knew about the Shabbos candles. But I forgot and I didn't put the challah on it. And so on the table. Is it like I forgot? But I didn't really forget, but I did forget. No?
You intended to do.
I had the intention to nullify the bus's, status by putting something else, but I didn't. Is that considered forgetting? You would say no. I remember as a kid having this issue. Oh, over here it's not just the mice, because forgetting is significant. No, but having the intention to remove it, we said, is enough to remove it. I'm saying, but it's not a mice. I'm saying it's not the mice. It is a thought. I remember as a kid having this issue on Shabbos, that sometimes we forgot to put the challah down, and the table was muktzah, which didn't really mean much, because you can sit there, you can eat it just the same, you just can't pick it up and move it. Okay, small deal. But nevertheless, I remember having this issue. So let's see if Shlomo Zalman says, he thinks that it shouldn't be muktzah, but he stays with the question. And Moshe says it's for sure muktzah. Because the fact is, he intended it to be a basis. He wanted to nullify it, but he never did. So that's like a basis. I think that's the simple understanding.
You use a reason from a different case. We had a situation.
Yeah.
Simple story.
Yep.
10 years ago. The kids were little. We came back from shul. My wife says I have to light the candles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She said it. She remembered it. Didn't do it. I got up in the morning. Hadn't done it.
That's the most common day for women to not light candles. You know that on the Jewish calendar.
So we called Rabbi Marvel.
Yeah.
And he said, not enough. That's for Shalom Yisroel, Yisroel. And he said, I'll get back to you. So I have to think about it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he came back and he said, you actually thought about it, you had intent, you just didn't do the action.
Therefore?
He said, so it's kind of a hybrid situation, but you really remembered. So instead of having to light an additional candle, he said, for one of the candles to put a little more oil in. But because you really had the intent, you just got distracted. Kids were little, you were serving dinner, it was 2 a.m. Right?
Interesting.
So that's the case too. Intent, right?
Interesting.
It was in mind, it was forefront, it's stated.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you. Women b'chlal, nowadays, they don't like lighting extra candles. It's embarrassing to me. Oh, why? What's the extra candle about? And I have to tell the story 10 years ago. My grandmother
some
does.
do it.
My grandmother does. Go for that. I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm just saying I don't like it. They don't like it. Those that ask me shilas, they don't like to be told to do it. Yeah. I don't think so. What does it say? It says, as long as people are up. As long as people are up. By day is a shaila. I heard that question. What if you didn't light it by night? But it's Yom Tov. Why not light it by day? Covered Yom Tov. I mean, even at night, it doesn't make a difference. It adds to your Yom Tov table at night like it adds to the day. You know, there's no difference in the light in the room nowadays with the candles. It's just covered. Okay, so maybe we could do cover during the day. I just heard the question. I'm not saying it's that. Anyway. I didn't actually find your question. I thought I would find it. When you put it there, you didn't specifically think when you would take it off. But in Alter B'tz Mashma, you have to make it, the buses, you actually have to intend that it should be there for Shabbos.
This is the color because the color is
More important, halachically, than the candles. Yeah. No. If you forgot to put the challah, then it stays a buses. But the fact is, you did purposefully make it a buses, i.e., a base for the candles. And even though you intended to nullify that status by putting challah, but you didn't nullify it. So you're left with the fact that it's a buses. That seems like a simple halach. Oh, not miyuchad, you mean not designated for it? That we're going to see in 310. He doesn't discuss it here, he discusses it in 310. It's interesting that he kind of splits the halachas of buses between here and 310, and we have more about it back in 276. It's a bit scattered, but that's a fact. He's going to discuss that in 310. That if it's designated before it, then it doesn't help to put them. The challah doesn't help for the table, for the tray. Helps with the table because the table is for all kinds of things. Doesn't help as long as it's designated. All right, Rabbi Sai. Here we go. Number 8. ולדברי הכל, ומובניין שנעשו בוסס וישראל נשמשת. אף אחר כך, ניתו, איסם עליהם, עשתה כל שם סקולה, כמו שהיה, איסם עליהם, שפשוט ונשמשת, כל סקולה, כמו שסלו עושים שלה. Everybody agrees that if it was a basis for Yisrael Nishmashas, even if the Yisrael was removed, it is forbidden to move it the entire Shabbos, just like when the Yisrael was on it, because it was designated Nishmashas, it was designated the entire Shabbos, as will be explained. So if it is a basis, according to each opinion, however you define it, of the Tam, the other opinion, whatever it is, if the bottom line is we decide that it is a basis, removing the Muktzah is not going to change that status. Because it was a basis when Shabbos came in, it remains a basis. Number 9. A basis, the permissible item only becomes a basis for forbidden item if you put it there with the intention of some purpose, for a purpose, it says. Whether for the Isser itself, so it should sit on well. The money is a good place, the pillow is a good place, because it'll make a little indent, it'll kind of make a little hole for itself, it'll sit there very nicely. Or if you're putting it there for some other purpose, for example, the stone that's on the barrel is serving the function of covering the barrel. If you put it there in a way of akrai means just happen to be. You put it down on purpose, but not for any reason. Not for any reason. Actually, I'm thinking back to your case with the wallet on the book. Could be that's called akrai. I don't need the wallet on the book for any reason. If the book wouldn't be there, I would put it on the table just the same. Like a nightstand, they say. You have a nightstand. You have a book on the nightstand. You're putting your wallet down, you put down the book. If the book wouldn't be there, you wouldn't say, "Hey, where's my book? I need it." You don't need a book under your wallet. You want it on the nightstand next to where you sleep or whatever. The book happens to be there. That's not called the kalchana le'izit. So that's not with the intention of any purpose. That's not a purpose. Not with any intention for any purpose that it should be there. For example, in a box, or in today's language you might call it a drawer, you sometimes put stuff on top of other stuff. Your socks are on top of your undershirts. Is it because they sit nicely on top of your undershirts? No, because there's no room on the side, so I put them on top. Big deal. That doesn't make the undershirts a buses for the socks. Not the problem anyway, but I'm just saying, in terms of the concept, it's in no way nullified to those socks. In that case, this item does not become a buses for the other item. Rather, it has the din of something was forgotten. This is the chiddush I was saying to you yesterday. It's an amazing chiddush. You're allowed to move the tablecloth, even though it has the candlesticks on it. You don't want the menorah on the candle on the tablecloth necessarily. You want it on the table. You want it on the table because you want the light on the table. It's nice. Light for the Shabbos meal, all those things. Does it have to be on the tablecloth? Well, I mean, how are you going to put on the tablecloth if you want the tablecloth on the table for the rest of your food? Okay, so yeah, of course you put on the tablecloth, but it's not on the tablecloth for a reason. It's on the tablecloth because the tablecloth happens to be there. And you want the tablecloth there for another reason, but not for the candles. You put it on the tablecloth because that's how the only place you put on the table. There's no way to move the tablecloth around out of the way because the tablecloth covers the whole table. Or because you can't be bothered, even if there was a way, you can't be bothered. But you didn't do it there on the tablecloth for a purpose. You put it on the table for a purpose, not a tablecloth. The map or does not become a bus with a mayor. It's not forbidden to carry. This is an amazing finish. Amazing. So let's say it happened that you forgot to put the challah on. Candles on. Lit the candles. Forgot to put the challah. Table is Muktzah. Now, come Shabbos morning, you want to switch the tablecloth because it got dirty. But how can you switch it? It's a buses. No. Others says it's not a bus. So, I mean, the table is. You can't pick the table up and move it somewhere else, but the tablecloth is not. So if you can, let's say, move the candlestick halachayad, let's say, or you could just lift up the tablecloth with the candlestick, obviously carefully, but you're moving the tablecloth because the tablecloth is in the way. You want to put another one there. So you take them off the tablecloth, and of course the candlestick comes with it because you can't tip it off on the floor and break it. So you take it off, you put it somewhere else, and on a new tablecloth. You can't put it back on you.
Yeah.
I mean, kalacha yai. Yeah, I don't see why not. Kalacha yai. It's hard to move a tray with a candlestick on it. Yeah. The tray you're moving with your hand, you have to move the tray kalachaya too.
But the other tray, I'm using it in the food stuff. I'm moving it off the table. Why did the candlestick on it?
But the tray you also have to move kalachaya. The tray also has to move. Absolutely. Once the candlestick is on it, you're holding muktzah.
Put bread on.
Why are you moving?
What, the candlestick?
Yeah.
But it's easy way to move it. Because I have to hold it like this with the tray starts. Then slide it off. So another way. Move. I'm not putting my candlestick on the table, so the tray, but it's one like the other. Or any other mistake.
Kalachaya, you can move it. But once it's on the tray, I don't know if you're allowed to move the tray without moving the tray kalachaya.
Because something put out the low. Food, an apple, the flour, cereal, something like that.
Why would it be an issue to move the tray with the kolar chayad?
No, kalachaya is not an issue. But Ron is saying, what do you need to do with kalachaya?
Oh,
I mean, let's talk about a tray that's not a buses. Let's say you have a tray that's not a buses, right? Because it had a challah on it, and it's not a designated tray for the candles. It's a tray that's used for different things. So there, if you need the space, he said, you're allowed to move. You don't have to do it kalachaya. You need the space. You can pick up the tray with the candlestick, move it in the regular way, not holding onto the candlestick, just holding onto the tray. Carefully move it somewhere else. As long as not a bus is correct. So you're saying, let's move the candlestick onto a tray. But now that it's on there, I need the space. So it's the same thing like a tray that was on it before Shabbos, which you can move for the place. So what's the difference?
It doesn't matter, it's just the point, the slide, the whole.
That's a technicality. I don't see why not. I don't see why not. If you can move a tray that's not a buses, that it was on from before Shabbos, why, if you move it onto there, why not? Same thing. No, it doesn't. You don't need it. If this is all because you need it in its place. You can't move it for the muktzah. You can't do it if the muktzah is in. Let's see. I think you can carry the shemana. Because whenever you need the space and you're moving muktzah with something else, and you need the space of that thing too. No.
If the trade of the is more to the last is the trade is one of the what?
I'm not sure if it's a good idea. I'm changing my mind as we speak. I'll tell you why. Because once you move it off the table, you don't have this space anymore. Now, why are you moving it? Only because you don't want it to break. Think about it. When it was on the table, one second. Actually, when it was on the table, you need the space. Fine. Now you're moving kalachayad, but it's not considered in your hands already. The ever concept once it's in your hands, keep it in your hands. Kalachayad is not in your hands. It's like it's being moved, like a force from beyond. It's just moving, right? Halachically, it's not considered moving. So the minute it gets put in your hands by this kalachayad force, it's off the table. I don't need the space anymore. Right now, why you're not dropping it? I'm not dropping it because the candelabra, I don't want to ruin it. But you understand? So now you're carrying it really for the candelabra.
Yeah, but let's say I'm dropping, I need the space on the floor. You don't know what to see. So regardless, I have to move it away from this zone. Just to drop it off the table, I need the space for the chair.
Could be. Could be. Yeah, I hear. I hear. Sorry? We had a machlokes about that. We said that when it's low level muktzah for sure, like a pen or whatever, if it's a high level muktzah, it's a machlokes, that's going to cause a financial loss, then you can delete it. So let's say it's money. If it's a penny, nickel, quarter, drop it, no problem. If it's $1, if it's 5 or 10, it's already in your hand, put it somewhere safe. Okay. I mean, again, according to what we're saying, once it's in your hands, some say you can move it wherever you need. Others say that even if it's in your hands, you only should move it as far as you need to. You need to say it's in the way, move it to the first place. That's not the way. Okay. Yeah. So this is not about other items. This is about the fact that it was not placed there for any purpose. There's no purpose on the table. Yeah, but the tablecloth happens to be there. The tablecloth is there for its reason, and the candle is there for its reason, and they both need to be on the table, but they don't need to be one on top of the other. They need to be because there's no other way to do it. No, that's why you have the tray. That's why you have the tray. The tablecloth is not for the ashes. The tray is for the ashes. The tablecloth is there because you want the tablecloth for the plates and for everything, and it should look nice. But you don't need it underneath the tray. I mean, of course, what are you going to have a hole in the table? Yes, it is. That's what we're saying. It has to be there for a purpose. It doesn't have to be a purpose for the muktzah. Exactly. It has a purpose for the barrel. It doesn't have a purpose for the stone. You don't need anything for the stone. It's just a stone. But it's there for a function because it's covering the barrel. If it would be there for no function at all, it just happens to be there, even though it was put there on purpose, but there's no function. It's like the whole point of a bus is that it's secondary. It's holding it up. If it's there for no reason, even though you put it down there, it has no significance. You know what I'm saying? It's not nullified to it because it's not there for any. Yeah. As we're learning, we're adding conditions. I mean, you could put it into the purposeful one. Purposefully placed there for a use, for a function, but you could add it as another condition. It's good I didn't make notes for this. We would have to add to those notes. If it's red hot, most places could say yes. Yeah. Interesting China.
Yeah. So, and then in the morning, you just need to have better access to the people who come. So you just go from one room to another.
No plug, no plug. I mean, I mentioned before, machlekes about a lamp. I think it would be the same machlekes. If a lamp is considered like a klisha malach to the isur, and then you can move it, or is it considered muktzah gomer because the bulb is maybe like fire? I think it's the same machlekes. Oh, so you're saying maybe the water is more important than the earth goes in? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Water is just water, but I mean, simply speaking, if the urn is muktzah gomer, then it would seem that the card is a basis. Yeah, that's what it seems to depend on. It would seem that the urn is more important than the water that's in. Even though for Shabbos you want the hot water, but you also want the urn to make it hot. You kind of want both. And in terms of value, the urn is certainly more valuable. I don't know if he discusses that here. I mean, not simple. Not simple. This is more important, more expensive for sure. All right. Yeah, the guy can move in. Yeah, but within those two, of course, you need both. There's no purpose of an urn without water, but because the urn can make a lot of hot water, and this is just one thing about water, it would seem the urn is more important. What you say? I didn't hear you much.
No, nothing. I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't see it there. Yeah. No, long pork is definitely a fiction like less. Muktzah of red low level. Muktzah like usually. No, if you need the space, or you need the silence. Yeah, you can move it. Yeah. That is okay. You can't tell him to. You can still use it because he's the one. He's the one that disconnected it. So when he reconnects it, he's fixing what he broke. I'm saying. So high, yeah. What was that? Yeah, so what did we say? I don't remember. Yeah, my son stopped it, yeah. No, there was already after finish matches, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Finish on time to go then. 10. Sheesh b'beitza, sheesh b'afrech. A egg in a chicken nest. And the egg is inedible. Inedible. Because it already for a person. Look, it has a chick inside. Trait. Because you know it's been there for 3 days. That's what happens. So Shabbat is sorry? I think that's what it says in Gemara. So. Unless there's something wrong with it. That guy's a problem. It's not going to become a chick. But if it's a normal egg, I think it says you can assume after 3 days it's already starting to develop. I'm not saying it's ready yet, but it's already in there. You know what I'm saying? It's already not edible for us. 3 days under the chick. No, they all have a chick in them. They're not ready to come out yet, but I'm saying that you can't eat them now. You can assume that they're already developed. As already has the beginning of a chick. Unless it's an unfertilized egg, or it's a problem egg. You know what I'm saying? Normal fertilized egg. Which other ones?
The ones that don't become chicks.
In your pot, in your pan.
Yeah, but in nature, not harvest.
They stay there. What do you mean? They stay there. They make 1 egg per day, and they sit on all of them until they're ready.
They make 1 egg per day.
Chickens, yeah. Absolutely.
So they sit on all of them until they hatch.
I believe so, yeah.
What about the 3 days?
What about it?
What's on day 2?
It's just another egg. There's another egg. It takes 3 days for it to start to develop as a chick. I don't know how many days it takes to get ready. Maybe, I don't know, 6, 9, I don't know. Yeah, nowadays they do them in incubators. Yeah, they're in incubators. Yeah.
How do you know?
No, if you're an egg farmer, every morning you go and you take the eggs out. Otherwise, you're gonna have your customers are gonna crack open and find a chicken. You never leave it even a day. Every morning you collect your eggs. For sure.
And it doesn't keep developing.
What?
It doesn't keep developing because you took it.
Of course it does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It has to be warm. It has to have a certain temperature to develop. As soon as you take it out, you put it in the fridge, Finished. It's never going to become a chick again. Now you feel for those vegans. The poor chicken. Kina. Yeah, it has to be fertilized also. Yeah. Most of our eggs are not fertilized. Yeah. No roosters around. Kina shatam negodim. Sheyesh ba beitza sheyesh ba frech. A nest that has an egg which has a chicken, which the Alter Rebbe says, by the way, this egg is forbidden to carry because it's not even fit for a dog. For a human, it's not fit because it's not kosher. B, it's disgusting. Who's going to eat a slimy bit of chick? Second of all, it is also not fit for the dog because the dog is not going to eat it with the shell. Hare hakina nasis basis lahabetza. The nest has become a basis for the egg. Because the nest is made for the chicks. And we know that for the chickens are. And we know that chickens make eggs. It's not like it was forgotten there. Rather, it was like someone put there on purpose. It was a similarly similar with any similar thing.
I didn't understand the egg. Maybe it should have done something like that.
We're talking about the nest. We're talking about the nest.
The nest is always there.
The nest is always there. Let's say the nest for some reason is not muktzah. Most nests I think are muktzah just because they're pieces of sticks made by an animal. You never designated for a kid. But let's say this nest is not muktzah. I don't know why. Let's say you designated it for your decorating your living room, and then you decided to put it out. Whatever. Let's say.
Like the bed for us.
Exactly. But you know that when you give it to a chicken, you are making this nest be a place for the egg, a basis for the egg. You know it. You know, it's not a mistake. You know it's going to lay an egg, and you want it to lay an egg, and you want it to be there because that's where it's going to develop nicely with the hen sitting on it. So it becomes a basis for it. That's all. The chicken egg is muktzah, right? Because it's not edible. And the nest is a basis for it because it's purposefully put there. I mean, the chicken doesn't have a purpose of putting it there. But you who put the chicken to sit there knowing it's going to make an egg, that's considered purposefully putting the egg there. So it becomes a basis for that egg.
Could be the post office come in, post office. So the egg wasn't there.
We're talking about one of us. Hey, we're talking about a 3-day egg. 3-day egg. If it's the first day, this guy's not, because he's a chicken farmer. He's not an egg farmer. He's a chicken farmer. He's making chickens. He explains in the notes here that a raw egg, he says, is not muktzah, because some people eat raw eggs. So that's why the Alter Rebbe specifically says that it started to develop as a chick. So therefore, it's not edible, not to people, not to animals. And it's there, it was for sure there when Shabbos came in, because it's already there for 3 days in order to become a chick. And therefore, it's muktzah, and the nest is muktzah also.
Is considered like an extension of the chicken?
No.
Or is it the same? You place the chicken on top of
The haraya, the chicken is fleishik, and the egg is parv. And a chicken is muktzah, a live chicken. And an egg, if it was hatched before Shabbos and it's still fresh, hasn't become a chick yet, is not muktzah.
Doesn't these buses the nest because you put the chicken on it?
Oh, you're asking an interesting question. Why isn't it a bustle because of the chicken? Why do you need the egg? What about the chicken? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm going to venture to say, I talk about a case where the chicken went for a stroll when Shabbos came. It was doing its Friday afternoon stroll. And that's why it's not muktzah because of the chicken. If the chicken was sitting there, taka the whole banish mushrooms, I think it would be a muktzah anyway because of the chicken. The nest. Interesting, because I think they sit on their eggs. As long as they have an egg, I think they sit there. But they probably take a break here and there and sit there 24/7. So yeah, that has to be the case. That it was taking a break, banish mushrooms.
So if you have no chicken,
Yeah. Yeah.
then the chicken for the next shot.
Not a must. If it's in the way, you can take it out of the way. Yeah. The egg is going to be muktzah because it's noilad. That egg is noilad. No, not with eggs. Not with eggs. Because of Yom Tov, Shabbos, the whole thing. But even though we're generally dealing with noilad on Shabbos, not with eggs. Okay. Im Adam, in Yerch Dvar Muktzah, Al Davar HaMutar, Shal Chaver Shal Lemidat. We mentioned this yesterday. If a person puts something muktzah on a permissible item of his friends without permission, af in gam davar hamuktzah shel chaver, even if also the muktzah item belongs to his friend. Leinasis heter basis lares. The heter item is not a basis. You have no right to make your friend's stuff usher without his knowledge. I'm going to read 52 in the English notes. This is a general principle in Torah law. However, if one actually mixed a forbidden food into someone else's kosher food, that mixture is prohibited to be consumed. Okay, we're talking about basically mental changes in your thought process. I'm not talking about physical changes. If you do a physical change to your friend's stuff, you can make it forbidden, like he says here. You take milk and you add it to your friend's chicken soup. Well, it's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, yeah, but that's physical, but it's still mental because the whole thing with buses depends on your mind. But this is nullified to that. Therefore, purpose. You know what I'm saying? So here, because it depends on your mind is not important. It doesn't belong to you. You know what I'm saying? When it's a physical thing, you can make it forbidden. You take his wool, you mix it with linen. It's chadness. You take his meat, you mix it with milk. It's basa b'chalav. It's not yours. Okay, you have to pay him for ruining it, but it is ruined. It's physically ruined. You know what I'm saying? But here, it depends on your thoughts. You can't make it also with thoughts. It's like bowing down to his stuff, make it up with his own. Same thing. Doesn't we had a okay, but even if you tell him, it doesn't make a difference. The Masa came to Tevis Chavera. If you did it for his own good, in a situation where probably he's happy with what you did for him. You're going, for example, Reuven took the earthenware item of Shem. Then he realized that the candle in Shemon's house is not situated so firmly. Might fall down. So rather than put his house at risk, he took a earthenware bowl, and he put it underneath in such a way that the candle, if it falls, should fall into the bowl and not make a fire. And the candle fell taka before Shabbos started. It was in it until after Benish A little bit unlikely it should be burning the whole time, right? Because it has to be burning. Otherwise, I mean, unlit candle is a very low level of Muktzah. Somehow it fell and it's still burning. Whole Benish Moshes. Nasa kli basis lahaner. The kli becomes a basis. And you cannot carry it into Shabbos. And so too with any similar thing. Oh yeah. I'd rather do a 10-minute deer shoot walkthrough. See if there's anything in the deer shoot that I can help you share with you. Exactly. Which he would probably want him to do. Here's an interesting question. We know that in some cases, you are allowed to move Muktzah, but it's not really the best. And we try to minimize such things. We had a graph show in Shinchas. We said, if it's already made, you can move. But it's really not the best. Because the Chacham only allow you to move because it's disgusting. But really, it's Muktzah. So you have to really try not to make a graph show we said. So what about this situation? A situation where you're going to be allowed to move the Muktzah together with a non-Muktzah. Right? A case where it's not going to be a basis, and you're going to have to move it because it's going to be in the way, and you're moving the Muktzah together with a non-Muktzah. Is that like a heter, and it's really not the best, and you shouldn't plan on it? Or is it, it's mutter. It's allowed, because it's not a basis, and you're moving it secondarily, and your attention is not for the Muktzah itself for all these reasons. Maybe it's heter gomer. He brings down that Rabbi Shlomo Zalman holds that you don't have to avoid it, right? If you know before Shabbos that you're going to have this problem, but you know that there's a permissible way to move it, you don't have to avoid it, you can leave it there. But he brings that Rabbi Yashiv says you shouldn't move it off. For sure.
What was the last part?
Rabbi Yashiv says you should try to stop this from happening. For example, he says a very practical example. You have in the door of your fridge, I don't know how the door can be Muktzah or whatever. He says if you have in the door of your fridge some Muktzah items, for example, things that are not edible raw. You have a raw chicken. So Lamaisa, when you open the door of the fridge, I mean, you're not opening it for the chicken, and to knock the chicken out is not practical. It's going to make it, I mean, whatever. You could do it, but he suggests that before Shabbos, you should really empty that door of Muktzah items. The big Chiddush, Rabbi Yashiv. Rav Shlomo Zalman says you don't have to. Sounds easier for me. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
No, I'm not saying it's good. The person follow a car.
What?
Follow a car. You're allowed to, now you walk in the front of the car.
It's a lie down.
You're allowed to walk in, go out to the lobby.
Yeah.
But there's no.
No. My when my oldest was 2 weeks old, I have to take it out from Caesar, take it out. But it's procedure. They put it to sleep. Esophagoscopy is called. Just go down the throat. It was lodged here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't go all the way down.
I think all the way.
It was lodged. In front. He told us. He told us, and they took an X-ray, and it was nothing. It was a dime.
Wow. Small.
I think so. No, exactly. My wife remembers. Anyway, the Maisa, the person is. I mean, the corn is nothing compared to the person. It's not even important. You know what I'm saying? The Chazon Ish actually says that very small coin is not going to make a table of buses. Even if it's left there on purpose on all these details, but it's nothing compared to it. You know what I'm saying? It's not even not a buses for it because it's nothing compared to it.
How far is that extended?
Like to what extent? How many coins?
What sort of look to? There's a rock on the table also.
No, actually, a rock. He said can create a buses. He's talking about like a small coin, like a penny.
Small worth.
Small worth coin.
Quarter would be huge.
I don't know exactly, but it's interesting because a rock is not really worth much. Yeah, so why does he say that? Interesting thing. Maybe it's all in people's minds. I mean, the rock that we discussed was put there for a purpose. So it's, even though it's not worth money, but it's still serving a purpose. So it's important. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that table is significant compared to that money. In other words, when you put exactly, I'm saying that it doesn't make itself into a buses. When the stone is on the barrel, the stone is covering the barrel, so it's there for a purpose. It's actually interesting that we say the barrel is a buses for this stone, even though the stone is functioning to cover the barrel. It's interesting. Halachically, the barrel is being nullified to the stone, even though the stone is there to the purpose of the barrel. Interesting concept. Not sure how that works. Interesting concept. Interesting concept. You have to learn. Without learning, I don't really understand it. One of those things that you can't get around. Yeah. What do you mean? If you put it there and it's not to the benefit of the person who owns it, so then it's not a buses. Not a buses. It's like the person forgot it. Shemin hastam. Different will price if one performs the act when it can be assumed that the other person appreciates it. If it's the sort of thing that the other person presumably would appreciate, then it's a buses. If it's a case that a normal person would appreciate it, we consider that that's the fact. If he comes later and he says no, I don't know. Not sure.
For the owner of the boat is approved with the chemical and all it.
Yeah.
It would be moved, but the guy that actually put it,
No, to the owner also, because the owner wants it. The owner doesn't want a fire in his house. Oh, here we have it. No, only if the candle fell. The candle didn't fall, it's not a buses. Here we have it, my friends. Very schwach answer. He asked the question, but doesn't really answer it well. I hope there's a better answer somewhere. He says that it becomes a basis to the stone. The basis is when it's serving the muktzah, not the opposite. So he brings the Baal Amor that says that the chavos is serving the stone. The ritual says that the stone, that he's guarding the stone by putting it on the chavos. It's both. The stone is covering the thing, so it's there for a purpose, but it's also serving to, I don't know, you like the stone because it's a good size. It's a good size to cover barrels with. You're happy that it's there because now you'll have it in a good place. You'll know where it is in the future. I don't know. It's an unusual tradition. If a child is holding an expensive Muktzah item, Rabbi Yashiv says you're not allowed to shake his hand to get him to drop the Muktzah item so it shouldn't get ruined, because that's considered total adidei davar achar l'tzoyach davar hamuktzah. In general, we said you cannot move a Muktzah item purposefully through something else, because that's considered like a yada arechta. That's considered like an extension. No, this is not the baby. It's not about the baby. It's about the fact you don't want him carrying around this expensive item. You want to make him shake it off. He says you can't, because you're basically moving the Muktzah through his hand. Your intention is to move the Muktzah, meaning to say to get him to drop it through his hand. Or tell him to. He doesn't bring another thing.
What? You didn't say it was allowed? You think that's what you're supposed to do?
You're supposed to make him drop it. Yeah, but over there, no, in the beginning, we weren't doing it for the sake of the Muktzah. On the contrary, you wanted to carry your son. He's holding a stone. Make him shake it off. Unless he doesn't want to, he's crying, whatever. Or a coin. You want to take your son to somewhere. He's holding a stone. Make him shake it off. You could actually shake his arm, because over there you're not shaking it for the stone. On the contrary, you're shaking it so you shouldn't carry the stone. The point is you can't move Muktzah with the intention of moving the Muktzah through something else. If your intention is to get rid of the Muktzah, that's not for the sake of the Muktzah. That's okay.
That's how Korean people are doing.
I don't know. I haven't learned it. I'm sorry? You can tell him, but he says you can't make him shake it. If you make him shake it, kalacha, yeah. I don't know. Yes, we discussed, right? Okay, what if you put the Muktzah on top of the non-Muktzah because you use the Muktzah item more? And leaving it on top, it's more accessible to you. The Ben Ish Chai says that is considered like a purposeful placement, and it's considered a basis. If you have different items that you use, your bed, whatever, a book, and a wallet, and you use the wallet more often than the book, so you keep the item that you use more often on top of the item that you use less often, so that you should have easy access to it. Just easier that way. Ben Ish Chai says that is considered purposeful. Now the book becomes a basis. However, Rabbi Yashiv says, no, that's still considered secondary. Because the fact is the item underneath is not actually mishamish, the item on top of it. It's not there for a purpose. It's just there because you use it less often, so it's easier to just leave it there. But It's not helping you in any way. In the case where you put something on a sefer and you're planning to shake it off before Shabbos, middle of Shabbos, you can go like lenient opinions and say it's not a basis because it's a disgrace for the sefer. Or the best. If a child puts something, Muktzah, out of Dvar Heter, but yeah, sorry. If a child put it there on purpose, the Dvar Heter is not going to be a basis because a child mashallah is not significant. What about leaves of a table that it can be extended or put back? Are they considered like part of the table for the purpose of buses? What if the muktzah is on them? Is the rest of the table of buses? We discussed it. We said if it's part of the table, some of them have leaves that are built in, you just pull them out, then it's not bone. If it's a separate leaf that you actually have to put in and it fits in tightly, we didn't have a clear out there. Didn't have a clear out to take it out or put it back. Not simple.
Even if it goes in smoothly,
If it goes in tightly, it's a problem.
it stays tight.
Stays tight.
Bone it.
Okay, of Karelitz is not sure if the leaves make the table, so the table leaves Muktzah or not. If the leaves are tucked in and they're not actually out, then he says that he's sure not a buses if the table is. But if they're all open, then he's not sure. Even if a person accepted Shabbos early, the time that Muktzah is decided is by Ben Hashmashos. Now, when in Siman Reish Ayin Zayin, he says that a woman should put her challah down on the table before she lights candles. That's not important. She's lighting candles hopefully at least 18 minutes early. She doesn't have to put it there. She could put it by Shkia. That's just practically speaking. So she shouldn't forget later. And Mishnah Berurah just gives good advice. Put the challahs down before you light. But it's really not the time of the lighting that's important. It's in the Ben Hashmashos. Or can they be makel with the Ben Hashmashos or Ben Hatam? Most people don't hold the Ben Hatams as an Iker Hadin. They only hold it as a Chumrah. You understand? The Iker Hadin they hold is like the Go'anim. That it's earlier Shkia, it says. To be strict, they go like a Ben Hatam. So you can't be lenient based on Ben Hatam. If a community actually holds that the Iker Halach is like a Ben Hatam, there could be such communities. But then they have to be machmir like a Ben Hatam with everything. With fast days, with saying Kriyashma, with women going to the mikveh. Those are places that do that. So their shkia is later. It could be their machmer like the goyim also. They take Shabbos earlier. I think everybody is, but for them that's a chumrah. So then they could go by the times. Then here's what I said before. If there's a few coins, kama prutot, kama prutot, doesn't say mabdel. Kama prutot, a few pennies basically. So he says later on it's going to say they're not important and it's not a basis. There's a machlokes, I think we mentioned this before. There's a klisha machta isser make the thing underneath it and buses. Klisha machta is very low level muktzah, but it is muktzah somewhat. You can't move it for itself to protect it. So if it's left on a table, does that table get that status too? You can't move the table to protect the table from harm. That's a machlokes. Some say it's even a machlokes for sure. All right, my friends. Let's stop here. Wish you all a restful vacation. Homework. The truth is that we're falling a little bit behind schedule because I was hoping to finish Yud this week. Now we're only finished 2 tests, except for Shiyud and Shiyud Aleph and review. I wanted to finish that all before the end of Shvat. Then we'll follow Shabbos another Aleph, and then review another base, and have a test. If I send a video, then when do I have a vacation?
Is there class next week?
No class next week. It's yeshiva week, as they said.
Oh, okay.
No class, I'm sorry.
I have a wedding to go to on Monday night anyway, so that works out.
I don't plan on doing a video, but maybe if I get a chance, I'll write something.
Okay, that would be nice.
Saying to maybe we don't have fixed plans yet.
Waiting for his wife to tell him.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe to allow that for a few days. We'll see.